Ooh, and we live. Hey, you guys, it's your girl, Tina Wolf, Book with Tina. I need to get my website back, or I need to do something new. But anyway, Book with Tina is my information currently right now. And let's see, in order to add, boom. I am also streaming from StreamYard. So hopefully you guys, hey, okay, now I think I'm set up, y'all. Hey, if y'all want some readings, I got my cards here, I got books here. I want to get some stuff. I want to get some stuff going. So if you guys want an intuitive reading, just comment and let me know, and I will do a reading for you all. All right. But today, before I get started with the reading, if you guys want one, let me know. I've got different cards, or you can give me a color, right? As long as I'm live, they're free. So I'm going to get us started with a little bit of Trusting God Day by Day, Joyce Meyer, just to kind of see where the vibe of the day is going to go. So let's see. Step out to find out. Step out to find out. The plans of the mind and orderly thinking belong to man, but from the Lord comes the wise answer of the tongue, which we're going to get some answers today. Proverbs 16:1. We often find it difficult to trust what we believe may be direction from the Lord. It is not that we distrust him, but we distrust our ability to hear from him. Sometimes we have the gift of discernment and we don't listen not only to our belief system, but we don't listen to ourselves. A lot of people make a lot of decisions based off of previous experiences, which you are supposed to, but you're supposed to base it off of the previous experience, what you have learned, and how you can create new solutions moving forward. So it says, I eventually found that I had to take a step of faith, and then I would find out by experience how to recognize the leadership of the Holy Spirit. Step out and find out is what I always say. As we are learning to be led by the Holy Spirit, we are bound to make a few mistakes. Here's the thing. During the time when you're going through your processes, some people will use the term, I am broken, right? When you're using the term, I am broken to me just means separated from. So if you're broken, it means you separated yourself away from whatever it is that you were going through and experiencing during the time. You feel what I'm saying? So that's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. All right. It says, but God always helps us to get back on the right track, and we learn from our mistakes. The process of learning to be led by God is no different from the process that babies go through when learning to walk. They all fall down in the process, but as long as they get up and try again, eventually they'll end up not only walking, but also running at full speed. James chapter 1 begins by telling us how to handle the trials of life. This is a natural way of handling problems. There is also a spiritual way to handle them. A lot of the times we're trying to figure it out by asking other people, which is okay. If you're getting advice from sages and from wise ones, then that's okay. But if you're not getting information from those people, if you're complaining and you're saying the same thing over and over, people are giving solutions, you're not taking them and you're not creating your own. This is another example of you're not listening, not only to yourself, but whatever your belief system is, right? So this is a natural way of handling problems, but there's also a spiritual way to handle them. And then this is what she lists. If any of you is deficient in wisdom, let him ask of the giving God who gives you to everyone liberally and ungrudgingly, without reproaching or fault finding, and it will be given to him. Only it must be in faith that he asks, with no wavering, no hesitating, no doubting. For the one who wavers, hesitates, and doubts is like the billowing surge out at sea that is blown hither and thither and tossed by the wind. So what this reminds me of is Let me finish reading this. Jesus is here. If you are having trouble, ask God what you should do. You may not receive an answer immediately upon making your request, but you will find as you go about your business that God's wisdom is operating through you, and his wisdom is divine and beyond your natural knowing. Sometimes we ask for help in a situation, right? And the help that we're asking for looks like a movie trailer. We're like, okay, this is what we need. We pray, meditate, and ask. This is what I wanted to look for. But much like a movie trailer, when you see the movie trailer, you're like, okay, I wonder when it's coming out. I wonder when it's going to happen. I wonder what is going to go on, right? And so when you go through that particular process, the process where we lose a little bit of faith or gain a little bit of fear or uncertainty is when it doesn't come fast enough. Sometimes the movies take a year to come out, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 7 years to come out. By the time the movie comes out, you've already gone through so many things and you've gone through so many experiences that you've forgotten that you originally saw the trailer back a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 7 years ago. And then finally the movie comes out and you're like, oh yeah, I remember. Now I remember, right? This is just like that. You have to be patient during the process. It says, trust in him. If you are having trouble trusting your ability to hear from God, and I'm going to ad lib, or to listen to yourself, step out and find out. Sometimes things are going on behind the scenes when you request something. Okay, so be patient. Learning to discern God's voice is a process, or listening to your higher self, right? Even if you fall down, you can trust him to help you find your way again. So that was Joyce Myers, Trusting Day by Day. That was her message of the day. So keeping in alignment. How do you become patient during the process? Here's a Romance Angels deck. If you guys want a reading, just let me know. If you guys want a reading, just let me know. And I got you. But in the meanwhile, if during this process, you're like, how do I become patient during the process where I prayed, meditated, asked, and I feel like it's taking forever, it's taking too long. Like my friend Cree said, the word of the day is, of the year is action. Action, right? So what action should you be taking during this process? Needs to be some self-healing, needs to be some self-love, needs to be some paying attention to your surroundings, listening to yourself, trusting yourself. Let's see. This is what you do. This is what you do during this process of you waiting, right? For what you prayed, meditated, and asked for. It says, clearly decide what you want so that it comes to you now. I've had to narrow down what I want down to 3 things. If you've got a bunch of different stuff going, you're feeling overwhelmed, you have a whole bunch of anxiety going on in your life, right? Anxiety means you don't have the ability to create a solution right now, which is why you are overwhelmed, right? You have too many fires on the pot. You got too many things going, and because you got all these things going, you're trying to create solutions with too many things. So you need to narrow it down and get it down to like just 3 things. So clearly decide what you want so that it can come to you right now. That's number 1, what you're going to do during the process. Number 2, someone from your past is returning to your life. Let me say this. Whenever this card comes up, a lot of people automatically go to that negative space. Hi. A lot of people tend to go directly to that negative space. They think about exes. They think about people they dealt with in the past that's trying to come back into their life that are not welcome. But sometimes people come back into your life from the past for 1 or 2 reasons. Test your boundaries to see if the solution that you created is still intact and if it still works, or it's a person from the past who y'all used to be coon boom buddies and y'all used to kick it, but life started lifing and life started happening. And when life started lifing and when life started happening, y'all kind of separated and went your own separate ways, right? But maybe now that you have gone through the experience and they have gone through the experience, now is the time to kind of rekindle that thing, right? So the next one is the card coming upside down, pay very close attention, right? Is the deception card. Deception can be one or two things. It depends on how it's going. Remember, I said sometimes people come from the past. It is a test to see if you're taking action on the solution that you've created, right? But sometimes the deception comes in from you not knowing who you are. That part. You see what I'm saying? So sometimes that deception comes in from you not knowing who you are. Now, during the process, while you were waiting for what you prayed, meditated, or asked for, now you can come to the next card, getting to know each other. Because like I said, during this process, you have to clearly decide what you want. Sometimes there's going to be a reconciliation. Somebody from the past is going to come back, and the person from the past is going to come back. I feel like it's more like a person that this is a good thing because they've gone through some experiences. You've gone through some experiences, and now you can share that journey together, right? But then also the deception card is coming in upside down, which means pay close attention. Does not mean reverse. It means pay close attention, right? The deception is you could be deceiving yourself. How can you deceive yourself? You can deceive yourself by having what they call, I just learned, cognitive dissonance, right? Which means you saying one thing and doing another. This is why it's saying clearly decide. Once you clearly decide what you want, the deception of deceiving yourself will go away so that reconciliation can come into alignment. I feel like this reconciliation has to do with some type of opportunity. It's a networking opportunity. It is a business opportunity. Don't have nothing to do with love, right? Now that you're rekindling and you're getting to know each other, here is the last card. The last card is calling in your soulmate, right? Soulmate, you got to see what it means to you. Most people most commonly connect soulmate being with love. But to me, a soulmate is a person, place, thing, or situation that has come into your space to give you an experience for you to learn from. That's what this is. So I feel like if you're in the space where you have prayed, meditated, or asked for something, and you are impatient, those are the things that you're going to need to do, right? Those are the things that you're going to need to do to be patient during the process. Okay. Now, if you guys want a card, I would be more than glad to pull you one. I'll show y'all some of the decks I have. Otherwise, I'm going to do a few more general readings, and then I'm going to start cooking until somebody says something. So I have the Romance Angels. I use this deck for self-help, self-love, and to help yourself, right? We're not on here matchmaking. That's not what we're on here doing. We got the Soulful Woman deck. The Soulful Woman deck is going to bring out the feminine energy, which is on you, whether you are male or female. To me, the feminine energy represents being able to receive, right? So if you need that, you're going to be able to receive. That's that. If you want a little bit more in depth, I absolutely love this deck. It's the Heal Yourself deck because I'm all about self-love, self-care, doing for the self, right? Then I have the Modern Love Tarot. This can go for several different things in life. I'm just going to leave that there. Now, this next deck that I'm about to share with y'all, a lot of people are going to say, Tina, I'm not even having sex right now. I'm celibate, or I ain't no sexual person. I'm not a freaky person. But you know what? Sometimes the sexual energy, if you would like to say it, or the problems that you have in sex, right? Especially if you're a person who has been through a lot, you've been through a lot of hardship when it comes to sex. This is actually a great deck to work with, right? And so this is the tarot deck of sexual magic. The last deck that I have over here is the pillow deck. It's another sexual deck, right? That's going to help you. So now I also have, for those of you that have gone through breakups, and If you know me, or if you new here and you don't know me, what you will learn about me is I have been through several marriages and relationships. I've learned a lot. So I share that information with people because I feel like you're never age. The age does not discern your wisdom. Let me say it that way. So I have a book that I reference. I do bibliomancy from, and it says Getting Back Together. This is a really good book. Um, and then one of my favorite books that I like to get from is The Love Dare. Now, you don't have to be Christian to love this book, but I will tell you this is one of the books that absolutely helped me during one of the separations I was going through in one of my marriages. And I got this book originally because I wanted to save my marriage, and I ended up saving myself. So The Love Dare is a very good book. I've actually repeated the things in this book a few times, and I love to reference it. Matter of fact, let's just reference one thing right now. So if you're not sure what The Love Dare is, or you've never even heard of it, The Love Dare is a book about learning how to become better, not only as a couple, but as a individual. So if you want to learn how to do that, this is the best to me book to get. When you get this book, you don't tell your spouse about this book, or you can do this with your friendships, even if you're having a hard time with friendships, with family, or even at work, anybody, right? You can go through and you can utilize this book. Don't tell anybody that you have it. Just do what's told in here and watch to see how your life has changed, right? So let's go in here. Let's see. I'll read from one of these. Okay. So this section, let me see what this section is about. And the one thing I love about this book is it's only a couple of pages. It's only a couple of pages, right? So this particular section is about love endures. It's about love endures. So if you're a person who, like I said, I was just talking about, you've been in a lot of marriages, or you've been in a lot of relationships, romantically, remember, keep in mind, this not only falls for that, but family, friends, co-workers also, not just the romantic mate. Love endures. I'll just read a little tiny bit. Of all the things love dares to do, this is the ultimate. Though threatened, it keeps pursuing. Through challenged, it keeps moving forward. Through mistreated and rejected, it refuses to give up. Love never fails. Now, make no mistake, when you are thinking about love, there's hearing this phrase, love never fails, it reminds me of when people have said, I love hard. I love hard. If you have ever used this phrase or heard this phrase, this is not a phrase to me that I embrace any longer. And I'm going to tell you why. First of all, you have to think about what hard is and what hard definition is to you. Hard to me means you have not yet obtained the skill. And because you have not yet obtained the skill, saying I love hard is like saying I've not yet obtained the skill, but I'm not going to give up. Why don't you want to give up? You don't want to give up because you don't want to fail at a relationship. Fail means you need to create a new solution. That's all fail means. It just means you need to create another solution. So when it says love never fails, the experience that you have is unending. Most people, when they meet people and they fall in love, or they care for someone deeply, once they go through an unpleasant experience with that person, now they feel like they've made a bad mistake. And they feel like I have to fall out of love in order to leave the situation that is no longer serving my highest good. How can that be? It's like saying, I want to stay here until I have received so much abuse from the person that I can say I did everything that I could do to try to save this relationship dynamic, family, friend, coworker, or romantic mate. I tried to save it, and I have to feel good about the abuse before I leave because I need to be the victim, right? And instead of staying and being the victim, instead of doing that, what you simply could have done is say, you know what? Although I do love you, and I love you very much, we are not aligned. And it's okay to do that. It's okay to say that. My very best friend, when we were going through hardships with breakups with people, we said, it's okay that we love the person. She said that. She said, Tina, you know, realizing that you love the person, but they're not good for us or they're not aligned for us, that's how we get to the stage of healing from that relationship, from that hurt, that pain. Because a lot of the times the reason why we stay is because we're trying to erase the hurt and erase the pain from the breakup. And remember, I already told y'all, if you said we broke up or I'm broken, it simply just means I am separated from. Period. I am separated from. So when you think about love never fails, that's what I want you to think about. And to keep reading. Many times when a marriage is in crisis, and remember, we're not going to have this just for marriage, but it's going to be for family, friends, coworkers, romantic mate as well. Many times when a marriage is in crisis, the spouse who is trying to make things work will go to the other, declaring in no uncertain terms that no matter what has happened in the past, he or she is committed to this marriage, right? This part right here is another way for somebody to try to keep you into a relationship where you guys are not aligned, right? Sometimes what they're trying to evoke is the memory of happiness and the memory of love that ensued when you guys met each other, right? So because of that, the person wants to remind you of that, right? So let's keep reading. It says their love can be counted on to last. They promise, but not wanting to hear this yet, the other spouse holds their position. They still want out. Okay. They don't see this marriage lasting long term, nor do they even want it anymore. Right. And we talked about that prior, right? We talked about that already. All right. It says the partner who has just laid his or her heart on the line, extending the olive branch, can't handle the rejection, right? And we talked about acknowledging that it's okay to love, but also just because you acknowledge that you love someone does not mean that you have to stay with them if you are not in alignment anymore, right? So let's continue to read. So they withdraw their statement. Fine. If that's how you want it, that's the way it'll be. When rejection ensues, rejection is someone or something that has been denied, right? That's what rejection is. Someone or something that has been denied the experience. You feel what I'm saying? You feel what I'm saying? So if you've been denied the experience and you're the person that's like, I love hard, right? And the other person is like, no, we're not doing that. I don't want you. And if that's the space that that other person is in, let's keep reading. It says, but if love is really love, it doesn't waffle when it's not received the way you want it to be. If love can be told to quit loving, then it's not really love. Love that is from God is unending, unstoppable. If the object of its affection doesn't choose to receive it, love keeps giving anyway. Love never fails. Never. Right? And so we've already talked about love. We've already talked about what love never fails really means. Okay, now let's go back to talk about the actual there. The actual there, right? And if you want more, you're gonna have to order the book. It's actually 2.5 pages long. But now let's get to the there, because we get to the gist. We're to the gist of what's going on, right? And we've already earlier talked about the process of when you pray, meditate, and ask for something, especially when it's for the dynamic of a relationship with family, friend, coworker, or romantic mate. We've already discussed that once you do that, it's like seeing a movie trailer. You don't know when it's exactly coming out, and you have to be patient during the process because there's things going on behind the scenes, right? So here is what the dare is. It says, spend time in personal prayer, then write a letter of commitment and resolve to your spouse. Remember, we can also do this for family, friend, or coworker, not just your romantic mate. Include why you are committing to this marriage, right? Because a marriage is an agreement between two people or more, right? It's agreement. Let me say it this way. A marriage is an agreement between people. That's all a marriage is agreement between people. You are committed in this marriage until, for some of y'all, it's death. For some of y'all, it's something different. But put what that commitment means, and that you have purpose to love them no matter what. Now we're talking about unconditional love. A friend of mine and I used to go back and forth about what unconditional means. And his stance and his feel on that was that unconditional love is not true, because love becomes conditional at some point, right? We'll get into that in a minute. But it says, leave it in a place that your mate will find it, right? So you want to write this commitment down, is what it's saying. Write the commitment down, write everything that you want to happen. Now, I'm going to suggest one thing, and this is me. I like to do what's called set it and forget it. So set it and forget it means once you write this letter, then I would place it someplace that you can't see it, and allow that energy to get out into the world, out into the space, and see if the person is receiving it. Okay, so I say that because to me, I call this your prayer bank, right? Or meditation bank, or your asking bank, whatever type of bank you would like to say that this is. When you pray, meditate, or ask, everything goes into this bank and it waits its turn. Just like when you're watching the movie trailer, you keep somewhere in the back of your head, you're like, okay, this movie gonna come out pretty soon, but when it comes out, I'm gonna be ready. It's the same thing. When you are writing what you want, right, and you are intentionally praying, meditating, and asking for exactly what you want, sometimes you got to set it and forget it. The more you keep doing it, sometimes it's like sending in the same request over and over again. Pretty soon, people become tired of seeing your name pop up, and it pushes you further and further behind. So you could do like the book suggestions, which the first time I did it that way. But I feel like this time, once you write that letter, put it away. At the time, I took my letter and I taped it on the inside of the closet wall where you can't see it. Now, this is suggesting that you write the letter and put it somewhere where your spouse can find it. However, this is also chapter, or your family, friend, coworker. This is also day 39. If you've gone through all 40 days of this book, then having this letter out by day 39 is the right thing to do. But if you're just getting started, 10 out of 10 do not recommend to do. I recommend that you set it and forget it and see what happens. Because when I did that, it actually worked to where the person that I was with at the time, we ended up having a good conversation, right? We still divorced, but we were able to talk, right? So it says, what were some of the hesitations you had in writing this letter? How do you expect your spouse or your family, friend, coworker to respond to it? And how did God or your belief system help you in writing it? And what did the process teach you about yourself? I think that this is a good thing. I'm going to put this over here. So if you're dealing with any of that type of stuff, hopefully they help you. I'm going to do one more card pull, and then I am going to start cooking my breakfast and then get out of here. I feel like I need to go to the modern tarot deck. I feel like I need to go to the modern tarot deck. And I'm not going to particularly, I'm just going to let, as they say, the cards fall as they may. I feel like any energy that comes on here, any space, if a card comes out, falls out, or comes to mind, then that card is for you. Or even if you come back and you're watching this live, the information that I gave today, I feel like is relevant. Let me say that. And if you want a card pulled for you, I will gladly. Okay, I don't know who just came on, but apparently this card is for you. Card is coming in upside down, which means to me, pay very close attention. Okay, let me show you the card. Let me show TikTok the card. Right. It's a family. The card at the bottom says Temperance. If you know anything about the tarot card, then you know about Temperance. I'm still learning all of those. But let me tell you, before I read from the book, because I don't like to just read from the book. I do like to read from the book, but I don't like to read from the book right away most times. So to me, when I'm looking at this card and I'm seeing family, right? I'm seeing they're all together and they're cooking. And to me, it's like cooking up something good, right? It also is showing me that everybody in here is in agreement. Everybody is in a marriage that is in agreement. That is the most easy part. And then back here in the back, if you look in the back on the refrigerator, there's like a little angel. If you look in the back, there's like a little tiny angel. You see that? So that means that there is somebody that is watching over this family and supporting this family at the time. I'm going to say specifically a woman, and it looks like a grandmother, right? It looks like a grandmother, but you have to think about what angel is represented that has the feminine energy that is in your space. You have to think about that, who that is. The man in the back, he's holding the cup, but he's patiently waiting to see if anything else is needed. The mother is gently supporting her daughter, right? She is gently supporting her daughter during this time. The daughter is very focused on what she's doing. This family dynamic, to me, is showing balance. This is what marriage is supposed to look like. Not necessarily this family in this order, but what marriage is supposed to look like is the masculine energy being patient and supportive and ready to assist. And then you have the woman who is lovingly supporting, right? And the child who has the freedom to do whatever it is that they are wanting to do and receiving that focused support. That's how a marriage should be. It should be full of balance. The angel in the back that's watching over them, you have to decide who that is for you, that's in your space watching over you while you are balancing your life with your family, friends, coworker, and romantic mate during that time. So let's read the Temperance and see. Let's read the Temperance. I absolutely love this deck. I love it. I love it. I love it. The colors and everything is beautiful. We're going to go to the back. This is X. I think there's 4. There we go. All right. The Temperance, right? The Temperance card. We're going to read a little bit. So it says, if you have the Temperance card, it means healing, balance, and ease. That's why you gotta trust yourself. Okay. The general love meeting. Now, in this particular deck, the Modern Love Tarot deck, the thing I love about it is it breaks it down in several different ways. Okay. So the general love meaning is there's a sense of peace and ease in your relationship when the Temperance card arrives in a love reading. You've been using your energy wisely and not allowing the little things to blow up into fights or arguments. What they say, choose your battles, right? Your living space feels calm and centered. If not, it's a sign to open your windows, get the cleansing tools out, and clear your environment as soon as you can, right? That's the general love meaning of Temperance. I like that. Temperance meaning the balance. Now, if you are single, it says single and loving it. This is what it says. Let's read it. If you are single and loving it, it says this card has arrived to remind you that taking care of your health is your number one priority. If you've been going out too late and overdoing it in any area of your life, it's a call back to balance. If you keep going, you'll burn out and be forced to slow down, which is usually an unpleasant experience. Amen. Hallelujah. All right. Now it says if you are ready for love and dating, if you are ready, then this is the next step. Temperance has arrived in your reading today as a call to find some moderation and self-restraint in your relationships. You don't have to share everything about yourself on the first date or 5. Allow things to happen in their own time and savor all the first. They won't happen again. Baby, I can do a whole dissertation on that, but I'm not going to get started on that. But I will say this. In the dating process, what I have learned for me that I look at and for right off the rip before we even meet up, because if we are meeting up via the internet and this is our first introduction, there's certain things that I look for. But if you meet up in person, this is something that is general across the board, which is going to be the same. The number one thing I look for is how you introduce me into your world. And then I'm very mindful about how I introduce you into mine. That's going to be the first thing, right? So let's go on. If you are in a committed relationship, okay? If you are in a committed relationship, people coming together to build a life together is like a chemistry experiment. You both bring your elements to the mix to see if they make something beautiful or a hot mess. And remember, man, this whole video has been great because we already addressed this. We already talked about it, right? We already talked about it's okay to love someone and like them and not be in alignment. It's okay to do that, right? Temperance arriving in your reading today reminds you of what you bring to the relationship and how you positively or negatively contribute to it. How are you making it work? And remember, making it work doesn't mean I love hard, because hard means you have not yet obtained a skill, which is okay to have, but staying in something that you are not aligned in, that where there is no compromise, where it already talked about earlier, we talked about marriage and how it should be at ease. Not saying that you're not going to face any challenges, but it should not be a fight. You understand what I'm saying? Now, it says if you are struggling in your relationship, we also talked about that earlier in the video, right? So if you're struggling in the relationship, it says the temperance card is connected to the health of a relationship. It's clear to see that this one is declining or on the verge of going downhill. Forearmed is forewarned. You have the opportunity to take action now and get things back on track. Take ownership of what you can do to positively improve the relationship and give your partner the chance to do the same thing. Now, here's the part that we talked about already with the struggling relationship part. It's okay. Let me put this disclaimer out there. It's okay to be in love and realize that you are not aligned. Being not aligned can mean one or two things. Being not aligned can mean that you need to be separated from the person, right? Don't mean you need to break up, but sometimes it does mean you need to be separated. You need to have that space. But it also means that you have to provide, both of you have to provide for each other a safe space to be in, to be able to bring balance and harmony back into the life that you need, right? When it comes to marriage, which marriage means an agreement between all parties. All right. Now it comes down to the end, the very last. So the end, it says, you are past the point of reconciliation at the moment, and any further attempt to fix things is just going to make matters worse. It doesn't necessarily mean that things are over forever. You may very well find your way back to one another in the future, but right now, each person needs some time to heal on their own. Take a step back and let go, which is what I basically just said, right? And some people are like, okay, well, Tina, that sounds great, but we live together. We have a mortgage. We have kids. We have this and that. You know, at one point when I was married and the husband that I was with at the time, right, we were having a hard time. I was like, look, I need to fast. I need to spend this time, you know what I'm saying, with myself. And so that's okay to do that. Just go in the other room, right, and have agreement. Now, if anything that's domestic violence, I'm not for. But what I'm saying is, if you just need space away from each other, it's okay to go in separate rooms, separate sides of the house, agree on a date. I would say three or more, but make sure you pick something out, right, specific. So during this process, if you are in this stage and in this space of separation, or you guys are trying to work on things, here's the first thing. Instead of blaming each other for what is going on in the relationship dynamic, okay, I guess this is the way we're going. Here's what you want to work on for yourself. Whenever there's something going on in a relationship and it is not in alignment, check yourself first. Check yourself first. That's what I do. I check myself first. Always. I always check myself first. I promise you, this is the best advice ever. Check yourself first and trust yourself first. So when you're going through this separation process or the process of getting back in alignment with your family, friend, coworker, or romantic mate, depending on who this is. We're going to go to the healing deck and we're going to see. Let's go this one. Okay. So here are the 4 cards. First card, allow yourself to go through the sadness, right? Allow yourself to go through the sadness. Have patience. Have understanding, right? Allow yourself to have that feeling. The reason why it's good to allow yourself to have that feeling is because now you can go backwards and see exactly where is that coming from. Where's the sadness coming from? When did it start? The next thing is the letting go. Oh, baby, I had a whole dissertation on this, on letting go. Hi, on letting go, on how to let go, step by step, how to do it, right? Because a lot of people, I remember back in 2018, you know, I was going through a breakup and people were like, man, just let it go, let it go, let it go, let it go. And I'm like, how do you let it go? They're like, you just let it go. That is not helpful information, by the way. Just saying let it go is not helpful information, by the way. Okay. And then let's go through the next step, which is dreams, right? Visually creating what you want to happen and who you want to be. A lot of the times we're so busy with when there is a separation or a disagreement or lack of alignment with the person that we are in a relationship dynamic with, family, friend, coworker, or romantic mate. The reason why is because we're trying to make that person who we want them to be instead of allowing them to be who they are and seeing if we are in alignment. If you find yourself trying to change this other person too much, that means you might be the problem, right? Because a lot of times when you come into a relationship dynamic where people are always wanting you to change and they're not wanting to change, or they want you to do 10 things and they do one thing, you got to go back and visualize what your dream is of the relationship dynamic. Who is you that you want to be and how you want to be? Then during this process with yourself, because this is about self, right? Card coming in upside down means pay very close attention. Have patience. Have patience with yourself. And the fact that there's a woman on there, to me, it says, have patience with yourself on receiving the sadness, receiving the solution on how to let go, and receiving what the real vision is that you want in a relationship dynamic. And most importantly, who do you want to be? This patience card is going to be the most important part. So let's see what some of you are wanting, right? Actually, I'm going to go here. Let's see what some of you are wanting and who you're wanting to be. I'm going to leave that patience card upside down because it's very important. I'm going to take this. One, the card comes right off the rip, is boundaries. This is the person that you want to be. You want to be a person with boundaries, baby. And that is a good thing. Okay. This card comes in upside down. We're going to pay close attention to it. It says true worth, right? Baby, that's a word. We didn't even have to shuffle these. And the flow of partnership. Baby, y'all are right where I want to be, right? Okay, so let's take a look. So it says boundaries. It says my clear boundaries allow me to protect myself, nurture my intentions, and follow my true self. During this process of patience, while you're getting ready to better yourself, somebody once told me boundaries are not who is it? A young lady told me boundaries are not for other people. Boundaries are for you. Your boundaries are for you to keep your word to yourself. Hello, how you doing? That's what the boundaries are. The boundaries are created because you either had a unpleasant experience by choice, or you had an unpleasant experience by force. Either way it goes, one of those two, you had an experience that led to you saying, this is what I want and this is what I don't want. Now, here's the thing. During this boundary creation process, a lot of the times, the patience, we already talked about that, right? The patience is not there. We create a solution. I know what I'm going to do, and we do it. And then sometimes that boundary does not stay where it's supposed to stay because we're not taking action on the boundary. And because we're not taking action on the boundary, we feel like we're failing. We're feeling like it didn't happen. Boundaries are important. You feel what I'm saying? Patience with yourself, loving yourself with the boundaries. Just saying. Now, the next card during this process, right, while you're working on yourself, because again, this is about self, we're talking about true worth. True worth. So the true worth says, my true worth is intrinsic and shines from my inner being like a sacred jewel of love and compassion. It's challenging sometimes to get here, especially when you're going through an experience of separation from family, friend, coworker, or romantic mate. This is the most challenging part. I'm going to come back to that, but this is the most challenging part. So now, while you continue to work on yourself, remember the other card, is it over here? The other card, we talked about visualizing and having the dream of the type of relationship dynamic you would like to have with the family, friend, coworker, or romantic mate. You have to visualize that. It says the flow of partnership. The ebb and flow of relationship takes me where I need to be next on my path. This should be, I like the figure 8, right? Or they talk about the infinity symbol. This is how the relationship should be. If there are any broken parts in there, meaning if there are any separated from parts that are going on during this relationship dynamic of family, friend, coworker, romantic mate, it's going to take you and the other party and or parties to come to an agreement to say they realize that it's not just that person, or it's not just me, it's both. In order to have a relationship, you have to have a understanding. I'm going to go here with the true worth card. Okay. I'm going to go into, let me find it. Number 34. We're going to read for insight. True worth. It says, true worth. My true worth is like an exquisite jewel that resides at the center of my heart. Its essence is compassion and love. As I hold my hands over my heart, I am reminded of this essence, right? It says, I know my worth is not dependent on who I think I am, who I should be, what I do or have. It is not dependent on what others think of me. It is unaffected by the ups and downs of everyday life. It is beyond success or failure. My worth simply is. It is an essential part of my being that I was born with. It is my inner light and life force. No one can define my worth. My worth is beyond measurement, beyond question, beyond doubt. If there is an old belief inside of me that says I am unworthy, I release it now and let it go. The card affirmation, my true worth is intrinsic and shines from my inner being like a sacred jewel of love and compassion. I can't help you with worth. You got to know it for yourself. You got to know the value for yourself. I know back in 2018, I went through a struggle of understanding what is value and worth. I could tell you what the value of this is, and I can tell you the worth of this and experience in my life, but I wasn't able to tell you about myself, right? What I value and what I'm worth. You have to learn that for yourself. What I value in myself is my ability to trust myself. What I value in myself is the ability to make the right decision that is right for me without guilt, without feeling bad. Also, understanding that sometimes the decisions that you make are going to hurt people or harm their emotional feelings or balance, especially when you're talking about having separation from broken, right? That can be kind of heavy for some people. I get it. But this is about you. You don't have to be mean, you don't have to be arrogant, but you can release in love. Because remember, this is about you healing yourself and being patient with yourself during the process while you're creating these new boundaries. And remember, whenever you go through the process of creating boundaries, there's going to be some people that don't want you to change. And the reason why they don't want you to change is because they like you being letting me run you over. Why you want to change now? You being letting me do it. You feel me? You feel me? Okay. Letting go. And then I'm going to close this part out. Letting go, the letting go process while you are going through the sadness. And remember, keeping in mind, you need to be patient with yourself. Letting go to me, the short version of letting go, means allowing yourself to see the situation that happened for just as it is. Not that I made a bad decision, not that I am never going to do this again and I'm going to fight everything because I'm hurt and I'm angry and all of that. We're not going to go through all that. We're just going to see the situation from where it is. We're going to look at it from an outside perspective, right? Just as if you were watching a movie. Because what happens when you watch a movie? When you watch the movie, you're like, oh, this is good, or oh, run, or this or that. You may even cry during the movie. You may get angry during the movie. You may go through every single emotion of what you want to go through. But at the end of the movie, you discern, was the movie good? Was it bad? Would I recommend this to a friend or would I not recommend to a friend? And if you were going to recommend this movie to a friend, what do? We're like, baby, when you go in, be ready for this. This is what you need to be ready for, right? This is what they talk about. Be ready for. And this is how your life experiences should be. Your life experiences should be taught for you to gain understanding, how to view it, how to embrace having the emotion, creating a solution, putting a boundary in place. And then once you put the boundary in place, taking the action. If you take the action and then you circle back around, you come back and you have that unpleasant experience again. It's okay to have the unpleasant experience again. We're going to go through the same thing until we get it right. The light bulb wasn't created the first time around, right? You had to keep going back and going back. Now, here's the thing. Letting go simply means learning the lesson and creating an experience that is not going to have that same unpleasant experience again. You can't stay stuck. You can remember, but you can't stay stuck. And if you stay stuck in everything that you do, is going to start coming in and giving you that same experience over and over and over and over again. Your emotional awareness will be heightened. That emotional awareness becomes sadness, becomes depression, becomes anxiety. Anxiety being the inability to create a solution. Same thing for depression, the inability to be able to create a solution or see something positive that is going on. You feel what I'm saying? So, letting go is the process of learning. The only way to let go is to learn and is to have gratitude. If it is the loss of a job, a friend, a family member, or a spouse. And I'm not talking about death, but if death resonates with you, that is fine. That's a whole nother subject, y'all. I don't feel like going into that. Okay, let me go into it real quick. If we're going to talk about death, right? No one can tell you how to process. But this is something that has helped me with the deaths in my family, the loss of a friend, and also the loss of a pet. This is what has helped me. Making sure that I love them while they're here. I give them their flowers while they're here. I have the experiences I want to have with them while I'm here. I resolve things while they are here. So when and if they should pass or I should pass, there should be nothing that is left open. And when I think about them, because I do have moments where I think about those that I love, right, that have transitioned on to the next experience. If it is a heavy feeling, then I immediately replace it with thinking of a loving moment, a happy moment that I had with them. And honestly, getting through the experience of the physical death of somebody that I love, honestly, that's what has helped tremendously, right? And I'm also open to receiving from those that I love. And I acknowledge with my best friend, anytime I see a yellow butterfly, I be like, hey, girl, because I know that's her. When she was alive, she was like, that yellow butterfly is me. And I'll be like, okay. So whenever I see the yellow butterfly, I'll be like, hey, friend, right? Or sometimes her picture will show up on my computer randomly or show up on my phone or my watch, or somebody will be like, I thought about her today, right? The spirit has a way of getting to you. But if you're so caught up in sadness and depression, you're so caught up that you're like this, you're not going to see what your loved one is trying to say to you. So you got to look up. You can remember the good times. I'm not saying don't remember the physical loss. But what I am saying is remember the good times too. And you can still give them their flowers. It's not too late, right? That's the death part that I did not want to address, but apparently somebody needed to hear that. So I'm going to let that stay there. Have patience with yourself. Love yourself. Be well. Be merry. I'll be back. It's your girl, Tina Wolf. May you guys be blessed. Have an awesome and amazing, easy day. Learn how to not only love each other, but love yourself also. I love y'all. Bye-bye. See y'all.